At what juncture would it require you, at least the time span of the strike, if it continues to go on, at what juncture would that force you to look at your ratings and kind of reevaluate the company's kind of outlook or even your expectations for them for either the rest of this year or even going into next year?
So our ratings right now, we have a strong sell on GM, and that's because we think they're in the most precarious position of the Detroit Three. Heading into the strike, they had far fewer inventories at the dealerships. If you look across their four auto brands, especially Chevy and Buick, much lower inventories than either Ford or Stellantis. They also had less cash and liquidity than the other two companies. To be clear, all three companies have sufficient cash and liquidity on the balance sheet. That's not really a concern. But if you look at the three, GM is really in the worst position of the Detroit Three. And we have holds on both Ford and Stellantis and are comfortable with those ratings. Stellantis in particular came into the strike with a huge amount of inventory. And so we think they can wait things out, longer than the other two companies.
How easy is it for these companies to restart operations that have either been stalled because of strikes or because of people walking away from the job and being away? And then additionally, even furthermore, I mean, how much is that operation going to change in the near term, either because of robotics or because of artificial intelligence that gets weaved in to the manufacturing process?
Well, it's fairly easy to restart a plant, but when it really gets complicated are the logistics and supply chain. A lot of people don't realize the average automobile contains over 30,000 parts. And so the automakers need to make sure they have all the parts required to restart and finish assembly of vehicles at these plants. And so, that's where the ripple effects can really come in. If it does damage to some of these auto suppliers and they're no longer able to produce and ship the parts that these automakers need, then there's a problem. So, that's really where we see a risk. And then longer term, we saw a 40-day strike by the UAW against GM just 4 years ago, back in 2019, and here we are again. I think the automakers, they're going to have to make some strategic decisions regarding where they want their plants to be longer term. And we think, one of the effects you could see is more plants built in Mexico or in Canada. Automakers just not wanting to go through the same exercise every 4 years in negotiating with the UAW, who's taken a very hardline approach to negotiations, and they're going to extract very significant concessions, which is going to drive up the labor costs of the Detroit Three. And so, that's why we think, really the biggest winner from the strike is Tesla, of course, 100% non-union company, but also some of the foreign automakers such as Toyota, Honda, Volkswagen, et cetera.